Native elders reveal centuries of extraterrestrial contact lore. We're talking about Native Americans. Richard Boylan, PhD, reports this. For 10 days in June, the Yankton Sioux Reservation on the windswept high plains of South Dakota was a gathering place for indigenous tribal leaders from around the globe and hundreds of Native and Euro-American listeners. The occasion was the Star Knowledge Conference and Sundance, convoked by Lakota Sioux spiritual leader Standing Elk in response to a vision. The vision showed that Native American spiritual knowledge about the Star Nations was to be shared. This conference also fulfilled Asian Hopi and Lakota prophecies. Spiritual shamans from the Plains tribes, Lakota, Oglala, Dakota, Blackfoot, Nakota, were joined by spokespersons from the Eastern Iroquois, Oneida, Seneca, Choctaw, and Southwest Hopi, the Yaqui, and Mayan tribes. In addition, the chief Maori shaman came from New Zealand at the southern end of the world, as well as a professional formerly residing in the land of the Saami people from the part of Scandinavia above the Arctic Circle. They came because they had seen signs now occurring, which had been predicted by ancient prophecies. These signs signified to them that the time had come to speak openly about their most closely held oral traditions. These traditions include their origins from the stars, the influence of star people visitors on the formation of their culture and their spiritual beliefs and ceremonies, and the imminent return of the Star Nations. Unprecedented as the gathering was, further precedent was set when Standing Elk, in a publishing announcement with apology to all elders, declared that this sacred knowledge, quote, is to be shared with our brothers of the four directions, end quote, that is the entire non-native world. Additionally, he invited world-famous Euro-American experts on the star visitors to also speak at this gathering of elders. Among those speaking were such notables as former NATO Intelligence Sergeant Major Bob Dean, Harvard Professor John Mack, MD, author Whitley Strieber, SETI, Assistant Director Martin Keller, former acting Finnish Surgeon General Rauni Kittel, MD Professor Leo Sprinkle, PhD ET Research Biologist Richard Boylan, PhD Professor Courtney Brown, PhD Italian Stigmatic Experiencer Giorgio Bongiovanni, German researcher Michael Hessman, former CIA paranormal operatives Dia Martin and Daryl Sims, contactees Marilyn Carlson and Randolph Winters, and others. This report is a summary of the Star Knowledge Conference. As such, it will necessarily not cover any topic or every speaker. Furthermore, because native speakers have not presented their messages publicly before, while the Euro-American experts have been widely reported, this report will focus on the natives' revelations. Standing Elk, Lakota keeper of the six-pointed Star Nation altar, in his open remarks notes that medicine men have the ability to communicate with the spiritual entities of Mother Earth, such as the eagle, the deer, the coyote, and the Star Nations. Quote, the Star Nations were the most crucial of all entities because the thought of other races communicating with the grassroots indigenous people would create a major threat to the religious systems, the economy, the educational system of any government. The greatest fear in the governmental structures was the knowledge that all forms of quote-unquote star governments had no monetary systems within their governing structures. Their system was based on the mental, spiritual, and universal laws with which they were too mentally and spiritually intelligent to break. The collapse of the monetary system of the United States government and the religious denominations became a national security issue, and so it became an easier task to make the Dakota belief system illegal to practice in and participate and practice. Standing Elk added that the Dakota medicine men are now being instructed to share spiritual knowledge of the Star Nations because of the contamination of Mother Earth and the pollution of the air, end quote. He spoke of as a child witnessing UFOs flying down the nearby Missouri River Valley, green balls of light 4 times larger than a school auditorium. Through a porthole on the side of the ships, he could see shadows of persons inside. During one encounter, he met a 7 foot tall man in white clothes who appeared like a middle aged Caucasian. The room was filled with light. It contained copper, computer like machines which operated on light and the law of thought, quote unquote. Standing Elk talked about meeting another Sioux medicine man who confirmed that there are star visitors. Some are like ants with big black eyes and long fingers and toes. Some live out in the cosmos and some on the other side of the moon. Sioux legends relate that they came from the Pleiades, with others coming from Sirius and the Orion systems. He related about having visitations in the Sweet Lodge from the Grey Zetas, who bear messages and provide answers to questions. Standing Elk talked about being visited by a 4 foot tall, orange skinned star visitor with large eyes. He also mentioned blue and green star people and 100 other races you don't know about, quote unquote. He asserted that the way of the stars is in every culture. Moving to the religious theme, he said that Jesus was a star man. Standing Elk noted that the symbols found on the wreckage of the Roswell UFO crash each had 2 meanings, a universal law and a spiritual law. During a subsequent presentation, he presented interpretations of these various star visitor symbols, which he had received from star people who manifested during Sweat Lodge ceremonies. And the next speaker, Ogala spiritual advisor Floyd Hand, continued the religious theme, speaking about the avatars, the world religious teachers, such as Jesus, Buddha, Mohammed, the white buffalo calf woman, the star person who gave the Sioux their spiritual history, health practices, and ceremonies. Quote, the avatars are star people, end quote. This is what he said. He said that 7 different galaxies are represented on the Earth. Each Native American tribe has its ET race of origination counterpart. The star people will return in the latter part of the 1990s. Changes will happen as their time draws near. Well, obviously, we're already past that. The first signs is floods, fires, earthquakes. There will be a world great drought, 97 to 99. Many will starve. There will be destruction of electrical sewer lines, loss of cities, and many lives. Well, obviously, that has not happened. Although we're going through what we're going now, it's just baffling. In 1998, white buffalo calf woman is coming back to Turtle Island. There are 4 omens. The first omen was the recent birth of a white buffalo calf on a white ranch whose hide eventually turned the other colors of the 4 nations, yellow, red, and black. The second omen was the birth of another white buffalo calf to a Sioux rancher, but it died. Quote, we have no right to destroy 4-legged and winged creatures for our purposes, end quote. The third omen was the third white calf, but no one is listening despite human suffering and death. The fourth omen will be the star people coming visiting in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Floyd Hand argued people to get away from urban hubbub and sharpen their senses. He added, start putting in a garden, put away food. It's going to be hard. There will be a new government. Hand sees the end of the current world, quote unquote, January 21st, 2021. Elder Paula Underwood gave an Iroquois perspective on off-planet life forms. She described the many appearances and forms of the extraterrestrials. In answer to the question of whether we can form community with them, she replied that, quote, all who walk on 2 legs are our brothers and sisters. We come from the unity of the universe, end quote. Underwood told of an Iroquois oral tradition of the Star Nation's telepathic messages to the Iroquois. Quote, we are coming, end quote. The Iroquois elders thought response, quote, don't come, we are not prepared, end quote. Star visitors replied, prepare yourself. Lakota elder Harry Charger discussed the oral tradition of the Sioux people. There have been many star people visitations of the Sioux during Sweat Lodge ceremonies. Charger said that 50% of what we see of star visitor appearances are mental projections from these visitors. He said that the star nations are concerned about our destruction of the planet. He told of as a boy being instructed by his grandmother to make a ball that did not bounce. Later, the village grandmothers gathered to try out tossing this gentle landing ball he made. They smiled with satisfaction as it soft landed, and years later he realized the point that the soft lander ball was a ritual reenactment of a space vehicle which had touched down on the Lakota lands. The Lakota elder told the Sioux spiritual origin legend. Two Lakota scouts were out away from the tribe when a young, beautiful, pale, white, luminous woman appeared to them, White Buffalo Calf Woman. She gave them important instructions about their origin and spiritual teachings and ceremonies to bring back to their people. One scout had lustful thoughts for the woman and sought to approach her erotically, and he perished. The other scout had paid respectful attention and brought back her teachings to the people who have been sustained by them. Charger said that each of us faces the same chance, the same choice. How will each of us react to the return of the Star People's presence? Finnish physician Rauni Lika Kilde spoke of the Star Nation's experience among the Sami, that is the Arctic Circle indigenous dwellers, people she was raised with above the Arctic Circle in Scandinavia. Airman Charles Hall reveals that the Sami are descendants of immigrants from Bernard Starr. Her first ceremony, her first remembered contact was when she was in a severe car crash. She said she laid there, mortally injured. A small star visitor was at her side, working on healing her injured liver. And later, the hospital staff could not understand how she survived the crash. Later, she remembered the star visitor contacted contacts as a child living among the Sami. She reported that there is a change of attitude in Scandinavia and the European Union about cosmic contacts. She hears positive reactions to star visitors' encounters. In Scandinavia, the so-called grey aliens, the Zetas, are rare. Most common there are the short, small, wrinkled dwarf star visitors. Her country borders Russia, whose cosmonauts are threatened with death if they talked openly about UFO encounters. Steve Red Buffalo Lakota gave a talk about the star people coming down from the Pleiades. The Sioux race traced their origin to that Seven Sisters constellation. The Pleiades have a connection with the Chanupa, the sacred pipe, which symbolizes the union of earth, the stone bowl with the sky, hollow stem through which the smoke is drawn and sent heavenward. Dakota spiritual leader Chanupa Wamdi Wikasa, or Deer Man, startled those listening by stating that the current Pope, John Paul II, is a pipe carrier, that is a Native American spiritual tradition keeper. The Pope fasted and entered into a sweat lodge ceremony with the Dakota while visiting in Canada and congratulated the Dakota for keeping their traditions and ceremonies. Deer Man interpreted a recent crop circle design as containing a highly relevant message. This crop circle consisted of 5 concentric circles. The first 4 circles are like orbit paths around a central sun, with a planet-like bead embedded in each orbit circle except the third one. The outermost ring is a chain of densely packed beads of varying sizes. The entire crop circle is the circle of life. The 4 inner circles are the traditional 4 nations of humanity: white, yellow, red, and black. The smallest circle near the nucleus is the white race. Spirit gave the white race responsibility for fire, and the white man forgot his responsibility and so created the nuclear bomb. The white race's elliptical orbit indicates that it is out of balance. The second orbit is the black race, which has responsibility for water. They have forgotten their responsibility. As a result, the waters are contaminated and this causes cancer. The third orbit is the red race, whose planet bead is missing. The red race has responsibility for the earth, and their bead is missing because the red nation still walks with the Tun Kashilas, the grandfather's spiritual guides. The fourth orbit is the yellow race, whose responsibility is the air, but Asian sponsored factories pollute the air. Dear Man commented that, quote, we have brought these imbalances on ourselves. The red race has responsibility for the land but cannot do so because of herbicides, acid rain, and underground nuclear testing. Spirit told Dear Man that the other races were to follow the red way of life, but but have lost it. The outermost circle is the star nations. The star nations are here to help us. The earth was out of balance and is rebalancing its tilt. Quote, we have to help the earth come back into balance. Time, as you know it, is coming to an end sooner than you think. There will not be cars or TVs, end quote. He said that the grandfathers taught him that we are coming to the end of the fourth world. We are about to enter the fifth world. This concurs with similar Hopi prophecies. It will take 9 worlds before we get to the spirit world, end quote. The adopted son of grandfather Titus, keeper of the Hopi prophecy tablets, Roy Littleson, was scheduled to speak on behalf of his grandfather, and because of difficulties, he designated Eric Skywalker to speak in his stead. He told of a solar system planetary alignment sequence moving into place which is powerful for the Earth. The outer planets line up with the planets near Earth. Quote, the power of the heavens steps down to the Earth. The new moon is an opening of the gate of star knowledge. This is what Eric said, that the Star Knowledge Conference is like a medicine wheel. Conference participants will radiate out to spread the information to others, taking the teachings of the star people and applying them to human interactions, end quote. Robert Running, a Lakota medicine man, was one of the first to participate in the revival Sundance in Modern Times. He chastised later-day Native American neo-traditionalists contaminated by Christian missionaries believing in devils and making up bureaucratic religion rules. Norbert Running said that most Indians in the reservation believed in the natural way of spirituality. He urged everyone to cultivate spirit guides to help you in the life path. He learned most of what he knows in the Uwupi spirit calling in ceremony. He told of legendary Sioux elder Black Elk, inviting a prophetic vision of a racial unity, a rainbow lodge, with the 4 nations together. He also spoke of the Hopi prophecy of red and white brothers working together. The chief spiritual elder of all the Maori people of Aotearoa, New Zealand, Mac Wiremu Ruka, accepted Standing Elk's invitation to share the ancient truths and prophecies of his people. Since age 3, Elder Ruka had been taught the genealogies and secrets and incantations of the cosmic and earth realms. A special star alignment in 1988 told the old Maori grandmothers that the time had arrived to bring out publicly the old stories which had been kept hidden for centuries, and that Elder Ruka was the one designated to speak. The Maori leader, the elder, related accounts of the star origin of his people. In a moving candlelit ritual, he created a 12-woman ceremonial circle at the conference to speak for spirit and set the proper vibration for creating such awareness. Choctaw medicine man Panther Preston Scott told of how he was designated to follow the path of the Heyoka, the sacred trickster. And one day, as a boy, he was being walked to school by his mother. A dark, stormy cloud came up from the west. His mother told him to run to his grandfather's house. He made it as far as his grandfather's yard when a lightning bolt struck so close to him that the heat and energy flipped him over. He landed on his feet still running, and went up to his grandfather's porch, being struck by lightning, his spirit designation as Heyoka. As an adult, Panther was climbing a hill one day and received a vision of 3 grandfathers. He was told that he was going to go north to the Lakota land, where they would give him a foundation of spiritual knowledge to take back to his people, because the Choctaw had lost their spiritual ways. Now he's seeing spirituality rising among the Choctaw. An Inipi sweat lodge ceremony for the Sun Dancer was held by Panther on the night of June 15, and as we prayed inside the totally dark lodge, there appeared two rectangular shaped lights about the size of bricks dancing near the upper east wall. Panther commented that there were 6 spirits inside the lodge. After the lodge, we learned from others waiting outside that during the sweat lodge, a high UFO went across the sky. At first it looked like a satellite, but then it stopped and gyrated in geometric patterns of flight. Eagle Pipe Man Galen Drapeau, a Lakota medicine man, is a carrier of elk medicine bundle. His spiritual path was deepened when he almost died during brain surgery and had an out-of-body experience where he met an old Indian medicine man adjusting energy particles coming out of people's bodies. Eagle Pipe Man told of seeing UFOs flying over Bear Butte, a volcanic peak in Black Hills, and the Sacred Heart of the Sioux Nation. Then he spoke about the Star Nation's altars. These are sacred ritual object altars kept by certain designated spiritual leaders as shrines where knowledge of the Star people is gathered, kept and honored. The Lakota elder said that Star Nation altars send a blue light up to the heavens, which the Star people can see as a beacon. He told of doing a ceremony for a woman, during which a Star elder came in and landed nearby. The Star visitor was tall, gray, and had large eyes. Eagle Pipe Man did the calling in song, and the Tank Kashilas, the grandfather spirits that is, came in, went over, and held the state elder, the Star Elder. And the Star Elder told them some things. Mother Earth is dying. There, that is the Star Elder's planet, is dead, lifeless. He's telling Holy Bull this because the Native Americans have the spirit. Mother Earth will clean the ozone. Eagle Pipe Man had an advising dream 1 year ago to go to a spiritual gathering where sacred bundles and pipes were placed together. That dream was fulfilled June 23rd at Greengrass, South Dakota. In an unprecedented joining, the 3 sacred bundles of the Sioux, the pipe, the Cheyenne, the arrows, and the Arapaho sacred hat were brought together. This fulfills a prophecy about the beginning of the 1,000 years of peace. Rod Shenandoah, a Blackfoot known Oneida medicine man, in a side lecture during the Sun Dance ceremonies, talked about the visitations from the Star people which he, Wallace Black Elk, and many other medicine persons, chiefs, and other Native Americans had experienced. He pointed out that Indians consider themselves privileged when such Star Nations contacts occur. They consider such visits to be sacred events. Wallace Black Elk had a vision by star visitors while he was in isolation on a spiritual Han Blechia, that is a fast and visions quest. In the final teaching around adjacent to the Sundance, Standing Elk said that the Star people are here to teach, to foster spiritual growth, and to prepare us for dealing with the challenging earth changes coming up in the next several years. The Star people are included as honored elders in the Native American key reverential saying, Mita koye oyasin. All are my relations, it means. Now, Standing Elk spoke of the Star visitors communicating telepathically with Indians, and that the original spiritual language of the Sioux, different from the conversational Lakota, is the language of a few cryptic key words designed to stimulate and be supplemental by full auditionally telepathic communications. The same Star people who visit the Sioux also visit the Hopi Indians. He said that the Star people and the Indians have the same DNA. Standing Elk noted that there is big news coming, fast changes, but they are slow in arriving. He also commented that the Star people are also aware of the law of karma. Now, in some of the past videos that we talked about, the geneticists did find DNA in the Native American Indians, the Choctaw, for example, and the people around the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence River in Canada were of Minoan DNA, that is, from ancient Crete of Greece. Going back to this, Arval Looking Horse, the 19th generation keeper of the sacred white buffalo calf pipe for the Dakota Nation, had called for a World Peace and Prayer Day, June 21st, summer solstice. This was in response to prophecies shared by spiritual leaders and elders at the United Nations that it is time to begin global healing by working towards world peace and harmony. While Looking Horse, the other sacred bundle keepers, and many others gathered at Greyhorn Butte, Devil's Tower National Monument, Standing Elk, and those participating in the Sundance on the Yankton Sioux Reservation held an observance of support. As representatives of the four nations stood in the four directions doorways in the Sundance, and gathered dancers and participants prayed, high above the central Sundance pole, a thin hollow circle of cirrus clouds formed around the sun, refracting within itself a perfectly circular rainbow. Although the wind was up from the west and other scattered clouds blew by, the circular rainbow remained perfect and immobile for over an hour, as witnessed by all the participants. In the Bible, the rainbow is described as a sign of peaceful favor from the one the Indians knew as a Great Spirit. Perhaps Tunkashila was indicated that we can approach the end of the fourth world and our emergence into the fifth world with hope. This is on Humans Are Free by Richard Boylan, PhD, and it's by Alexander Light. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.